Welcome to the show, sports fans. This is the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, presented by No Vape Idaho, Idaho Public Television's campaign to raise awareness about the dangers of youth vaping. Be smart. Don't start. We are here to talk the biggest stories from District 3, the Treasure Valley here in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. Let's bring on our Treasure Valley resident and expert, Logan Green. LG, what's going on?
Hey, Brandon, man, my voice is finally almost recovered. I feel like I lose my voice by the time the state championship comes on Saturday during state basketball. And then on Sunday, people are like, "Are you sick?" And I'm like, no, I just talked for 3 straight days and didn't stop talking. So, I mean, that's not unnormal for me to talk that much. But, in a broadcast setting, it's a little different. So, but it was a great weekend for girls state basketball. Tons of fun. Just a lot of good basketball we've got around our state.
Yep. We are broadcasting, podcasting, whatever you want to call it, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Twitter account. You can, of course, if you're not watching live, you can always watch this replay anytime at those 3 destinations. You can also listen to this Prepcast at IdahoSports.com, as well as wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts, Google, Spotify, Apple, etc. So yeah, let's dive right into it. The big storyline was the girls state basketball tournaments that took place over the weekend. Logan, shout out to Mike Licklama from the Idaho Statesman, who let me know this stat as I was sitting next to him on Friday night after the semifinals at the Idaho Center. First time, Logan, since 1995 that not one team from District 3 was playing for a state championship in girls hoops.
Yeah, just crazy that nobody was there. And I saw a lot of East Idaho people all bragging about it. It just makes me laugh. Like if the Treasure Valley people did that, they would say, "You hate us." And it always makes me laugh. Like when that is the story, aren't they? Oh, that's the way it should be. Like, oh man, just nobody hates you. We're all on the same team here. But yeah, it's just wild that nobody was able to make it, considering the teams that we had, right? Like, I really thought Cole Valley Christian had a great shot there at 2A, either them or Melba, right? And neither one of them make it to the championship game. I really liked, Boise was a team that a lot of people liked. They got beat by Coeur d'Alene. Just a lot of teams that didn't quite get over the hump, obviously, and make it into the state championships. I really thought Parma was going to play well in that game against Teton, but Teton just overpowered them, and we didn't get it done here in District 3 this weekend or last weekend.
So let's run through kind of who finished highest amongst Treasure Valley teams, and we'll work our way down. So there were 2 teams that came home with 3rd place trophies: Boise at the 5A level, Cole Valley Christian at the 2A level. Each fell in the semifinals. Let's just start with the Brave. They had to play Coeur d'Alene in a rematch of the semifinals from last year, Logan, where it went to overtime. Mm-hmm. Coeur d'Alene won by a point, 51-50. This game was similarly tight. Coeur d'Alene won 58-55 over the Brave. Now, Boise rebounded to win the 3rd place game over Rigby, 53-48. So just very tight games throughout, Logan. And I'll be honest, I was on the call for the 5A state tournament. Our closest game in the opening round was the number 1 versus number 8 matchup, Boise and Madison. Boise only won that game by 9 points, 40-31. And that's when I turned to my partner, Sean, and I said, Boise might be in trouble here. They weren't able to generate enough offense outside of Avery Howell, in my opinion, to win it all.
And that had been from my discussions with different people, or obviously Boise was great. They were the number 1 seed. They were amazing all year. They hardly, like, they had 1 loss in the regular season. So clearly they were the best team in the state in the regular season, right? But the one thing that I had heard from talking to different people was that if there was a way to beat Boise, it would be make other players play, right? Not that they're not great. Obviously, like, I feel like anything I say, sometimes I overheard some people at the 3A bashing something I had said. Like, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm just I'm just restating things I had heard, and it's not a knock on anybody. But that if you could limit Howell and make the other players beat you, that you had more of a chance, right? Not saying that, oh, you were going to win that game, but you had more of a chance. And she still went out and played phenomenal in all those games. But like you said, Brandon, there's got to be some other offense. And I was tracking the scores as the day was going along, and I saw that game in the third quarter that it was close, and I was shocked, honestly. I thought that Boise was going to roll right through them based on what Rigby had done to them, right, in some of their games. And so that kind of caught my eye. And then, you know what? Was there a difference really between Boise, Coeur d'Alene, and Lake City all year long? Like, those three seem to be just the same, right? Just very similar resumes, very well coached basketball teams, just very good. And it didn't surprise me that it was two of those three playing in the state championship of some sort.
Yeah, really, the top five was really even when you talk about Boise and Rigby, who met for third place, and Coeur d'Alene and Lake City, and then I would include Rocky because let's pivot to Rocky for a moment here. Rocky pushed Coeur d'Alene in that opening round game as well. Coeur d'Alene won 50-40, but you talked to Coach BJ Humphreys after the game, and basically he said it came down to a 2-minute stretch in the second half where we turned the ball over a couple of times. Coeur d'Alene got loose and hit some shots, and otherwise it was pretty even Steven the rest of the way. Rocky Mountain, I think, just ran out of steam. They fell to Owyhee in the consolation final, 43-37. So Owyhee's coming home with the trophy. Boise's coming home with the trophy. And then Middleton was the only team that went 2 and out. They fell to they fell to Lake City, and then they lost to Owyhee in that loser out game. Middleton, very young team. I think this was a good experience for them. That's going to lay the foundation for the future. But I think overall, when we talk about the 5A SIC, looking back on it now, I'm just not sure the league was that great this year. And so whereas Coeur d'Alene and Lake City were constantly getting pushed by each other and challenged and playing really good teams from Washington and playing in a smaller league where they had a little more flexibility in their schedule, Boise is so locked in because it's a 12-team league, normally 13, 12 this year. They're so locked in. So much of their schedule is dedicated to that. I'm just not sure beating Bora and Meridian and Mountain View really pushed Boise to where they needed to be challenged.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that that's a wrong thing to say. I think, they pushed themselves really hard out of conference, right? They went up north, I believe, right? Or did they play the teams that came down?
Yeah.
They hosted. So, they tried, but then like you said, sometimes it just happens, right? You get in conference and it just might not be there. And that's not always the case every year. It just, based on what we saw at the state tournament, that's a reasonable thing to conclude, right? That maybe the SIC wasn't as strong as we initially thought. Still very good, but maybe just those two, Coeur d'Alene and Lake City. Just I obviously I live in Middleton. I had a little bit of a homer picking Middleton, right, to win it. But I was texting some people during the game. They're like, this team, they haven't seen anything like this. Just they're like, they can't miss. They're bigger, they're faster, and Middleton did very well, right? Coach Blackwell won Coach of the Year this year in the SIC. She very good team, well coached, but they just kind of got beat, right, in that first round game, to put it lightly. They got beat. I mean, you were there. And they were the second place team in the league, right? So in the SIC this year. So take that for what it's worth, but a great season for everybody. Obviously that's not how you want to go out at state. Whether it's going 2 and out like Middleton did, or getting to the semifinals and losing again, if you're Boise, right, to Coeur d'Alene, just kind of, that's not how you want to end your season 2 years in a row. But doesn't take away from the fact that it was a great regular season. And I saw this comment out there: has girls basketball ever been better in Idaho? Right? How many players are committed to play Division I basketball that you saw this weekend? Not just at 5A, but other levels. So just great basketball all over the place.
Yep, it has been a renaissance of girls basketball for sure. Here's the 5A all-tournament team. We'll highlight who made it from the Treasure Valley. Avery Howell of Boise, of course, makes the first team. CeCe Legaspi from Rocky Mountain also makes the first team. On the second team, you have Katie Hahn from Boise, who played really well in that semifinal, unfortunately fouled out late in the contest. Riley Beck from Hawaii also makes the second team. And then our honorable mention here, Logan, Zoe Blackwell from Middleton, Josie Davis from Hawaii, and Logan Sailors from Rocky Mountain all make the honorable mention squad there. So congratulations to all of the 5A teams that went down and competed. Let's talk 2A hoops now, Logan, where we, I couldn't have been more wrong. I had proclaimed all year the big three was Grangeville, Melba, Cole Valley Christian. Oh, yeah, North Fremont, Bear Lake in the championship. We all saw that coming.
Yeah. Just a wild finish, right, too, in some of these games, right? I think the North Fremont Grangeville game had the most wild finish. I don't know. We didn't have exciting finishes, at least late in the 3A tournament. But from what I heard, that 2A tournament, North Fremont Grangeville game might have been the most exciting. But definitely not what we were expecting to see, at least from our eye point of view.
So Melba had to play North Fremont right away in the first round, and I was a little surprised. Not that North Fremont won, but the margin, 64-48. That sent Melba into the consolation bracket. They beat Kellogg in a loser-out game. They ultimately beat Soda Springs 50-45 to win the consolation trophy. So Melba is going home with some hardware. Cole Valley Christian, meanwhile, they beat Soda Springs in the opening round. Then they play Bear Lake in the semis. And Logan, I really believe in my heart of hearts, like probably 7 or 8 times out of 10, Cole Valley wins that matchup. They just had a cold shooting night, and you have to give credit to Bear Lake. They defended well all tournament long, but for Cole Valley, they come up 9 points short. They turn around and they beat Grangeville 49-38, getting a little revenge. They lost to Grangeville all the way back at the start of the season. So Cole Valley takes home the third place trophy there.
Yeah. Just I don't think anybody thought we would see Grangeville come away with nothing. Like, that was very surprising. But good job for Cole Valley to get it done, to exact that revenge. I just thought that Cole Valley had, the reason I picked them to win is they had really tested themselves, right? We just talked about that with some of the 5A teams from up north. But what did they do all year? They played their non-conference games. Look what they did, right? They went to Grangeville. They went to Lapway, right? They played 5A SIC schools down here. They played a hard schedule. 3A SRV teams, they set themselves up well to be ready for the tournament. But like you said, credit to Bear Lake for shutting them down. But yeah, I mean, Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue in the tournament last year. 9 times out of 10, I think Purdue wins that game, but the one time that they played, Fairleigh Dickinson got it. And similar situation, like you said, but then Bear Lake goes and wins the whole thing. Right. So you know what? It doesn't matter. They are the state champs, and congrats to Bear Lake there. Did anybody have that on their bingo card coming in? Right. I didn't, because were they even the number 1 seed in their district tournament, or was that?
Nope. Soda
Springs was number 1. And they came in not even having at least regular season, won their district, and then they go and win the state championship. And I mean, that's what people want, right? They want to see those stories like that, where somebody comes in that wasn't expected to win a championship. And it happens every year. It does. Some bracket somewhere, something happens. And I'm sure Bear Lake knew they could do it. And this is not like a, we don't believe in Bear Lake statement. It's just, when you look at the other teams, they were very good, and that's where we're coming from. And Bear Lake, congrats to them. They beat the really good teams that were in front of them to win a title.
Yep. Let's take a look at that 2A all tournament team selected by the IdahoSports.com broadcasters. On the first team, 2 Melba Mustangs, Taraya Carter and Brooklyn Daly, also Trinity Holsinger of Cole Valley. On the second team, we had Hadley Froz from Cole Valley Christian. And then on our honorable mention team, Logan, Ellie Johnson from Melba. So congratulations to all of the girls that made it there from 2A. Let's talk the tournament you were at, Logan, 3A. This was I got to be honest, coming in, I thought this was the most wide open tournament, and I thought you were going to get a really good one. And you had a couple of good games along the way, but there was also some really one-sided affairs. Parma ends up taking 4th place. They beat Fruitland in a all District 3 opening round game, 61-50. They fall to Teton, the eventual state runner-up in the semis, and then they lose to Timberlake pretty decisively as well, 46-27 in that 3rd place game. So they take 4th. They don't get anything for their troubles there. It's still weird to me that the team that takes 5th place gets a trophy, but the team that takes 4th doesn't. But anyways, Fruitland loses right away. They beat Kimberly in a loser out game, and then they had to play Filer in the consolation final. They fell there 56-48. And so when you look statewide this year, District 3 had 4 really good teams, right? We talked about McCall Donnelly and Weiser and Fruitland and Parma, and they all, we talked about this though ahead of state. All of those teams had warts as well. And at state, some of those warts got exposed a little bit.
Yeah, and that typically happens, right? And just when you get in this type of situation, you play really good teams and they're going to expose your flaws that maybe you could hide in a conference schedule, right? Because you know the team so well, but you start going up against teams you don't know and it just catches up to you.
Yep. Here's who made the all-tourney team for the 3A girls. We had on the second team, Lydia Lindsay from Fruitland. And then on the honorable mentions, we had Riley Calkins from Parma. So congratulations to both of those young ladies.
And here, Brandon, I did the 3A tournament. And so that first game was between Fruitland and Parma. And it was a great, a great regular season for both teams. It just coming out in that game, Parma punched them in the mouth early and Fruitland really struggled the score was only 11, but that was a late 11. It was the lead hovered around 20-16 all evening or all morning. I guess it was the first game. Parma just really came out and swung and did well. But man, the athleticism from Teton really was a struggle for Parma. And I think that's ultimately what it was. They were just so fast. Teton opening tip-off to laying it in. I think, I don't know if it was that first game or second game for Teton. I mean, it was in a blink. We even talked to one of the officials and they were like, I can't keep up with these girls. Like I'm too old for this, right? They were so fast and they were so quick to get down the court. And just a great team. Teton was, and not a knock. Fruitland came out and played very well the next couple of days and did well. Parma just, Riley Calkins is a great basketball player. And when they kind of contain her in some of those other games, it was a struggle for the rest. Somebody needed to get going. And, they're a pretty young team. When is Parma not around, right? They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. This year, it was just, the thing is, Snake River and Teton were heavy senior laden squads, and it is what it is. They're not going to be the same team. None of these teams are going to be the same team next year that they were this year, right? I learned that is interesting. Coach Jones, the football coach at Oakley, told me, they had won 3 straight football championships, but before their 4th consecutive appearance, he goes, "This isn't the same team. These kids are all. There might be some of the same kids, but like." They haven't had to be the leader, right? The senior leader in the locker room. The juniors, they haven't had to be the starters, right? They might have been the backup, it is a different team, even though there's some of the same names. And but your Snake River and Teton, they're going to have some of the same names, but it's going to be a different story. So maybe a window of opening in the next couple of years for Parma, Fruitland, some of these young 3A SRV teams.
Yep. It was a good first experience for this wave of players from Fruitland and Parma for sure. In the chat, Ryan Skaggs, our North Idaho Prepcaster, there is no 5th place game, and he attributed that quote to Paul Kingsbury. I don't know when Paul said that, but he says they are consolation champs, which means something, and then he admits it's an oxymoron, to be honest. I think the easiest solution to this is just get rid of it. Hey, if you won the consolation side of the bracket, cool. You don't get anything for it, and not to go off topic here, but in Montana, what they do, Logan, it is a true double elimination tournament. Not true in the sense that somebody can challenge from the backside, but Basically, the 4 teams that lose in the first round all play each other. And then the 2 winners of the loser out games on Friday, Logan, they play the 2 semifinal losers Saturday morning. And then the 2 winners of those games play the 3rd place game Saturday night. So you're looking at potentially 2 games on Saturday there. And so sometimes a team that lost on opening day in the first round can still finish 3rd, which is a big accomplishment.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see that implemented here. It is, I don't know, I guess I come from a state, right, where you have a huge bracket and it's just so different, and there are pros and cons, right? I love the format we have here. I love it, right? That you get that, I say ACC tournament because that's what I'm used to, right? The ACC tournament where it's Thursday afternoon and everybody's playing and you're watching it in class, right? It's just that conference tournament, NCAA tournament style event, right? Rather than, where it was where I'm in North Carolina, it's a 64 team bracket, but it's at home site. So it's a different thing. Everybody comes together, their national championship, the state championship is at one of, whether it's at where Carolina plays at the Dean Dome or where NC State plays or at Wake Forest, wherever it is, it's at one of those locations. But I like the format, but back there, you lose and you're done, right? If you lose, you're out. There's no consolation side. So that was new for me. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I don't think anything needs to change in how we do it. But when you get down to the naming of things, it is weird, right? The team that technically finishes 4th doesn't get anything, but the team that wins the consolation, I don't know. I don't even know what you call them. Like, somebody told me I shouldn't say a loser out game. Like,
what is it then?
What is it then? What is it?
I don't want to get too into the, off the sports realm and into the political realm, but there's nothing wrong with calling it a loser out. The loser of the game is out. We can't be so soft to say that, oh, you can't say loser out. Like, that's what it is.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. I better rein it back in here, Logan. 1A D2 bracket. Council and Salmon River here from District 3. Salmon River, they had to play each other in the opening round. Yeah. Council wins pretty easily, 71-43. Salmon River wins a gritty loser out game over Ledor, 37-32. They get to that consolation final on Saturday morning, Logan. This is the game that I was at broadcasting for IdahoSports.com. They fall to Rockland 62-33. 2 big factors for Salmon River. One, they were missing Rainey Walters, their lone senior. She had injured her knee in the previous game against Ledor. She only played a couple of minutes. She's also their tallest player. Number 2, this is still a really young team. They've got 8th graders. They've got freshmen. Rockland is a veteran team. They threw a 1-2-2 press on. Salmon River had a really hard time with it, so they fall 62-33. Then you look at Council. They win over Salmon River. They get to the semifinals against Kendrick. They fall by 13, 57-44. They've got to turn around and play Deary in the 3rd place game, and they lose 44-39. They just couldn't generate enough offense when they needed to. And I'll stand by what I said about 1A D2 girls hoops this year. To me, there was a clear top 4, and all 4 teams came from 2 leagues. It was Kendrick and Deary from up north, and it was Dietrich and Richfield from District 4. Now, Richfield didn't even get the chance to go to state because it was a 1-bid league. But to me, that was kind of the clear top 4, and it played out that way at state.
Yeah, and I mean, the girls from District 3 did great, right? No 2-and-outs, right? That's always what I look at, right? We had no 2-and-outs. We did great here. Salmon River Council showed up, played well. And Council didn't, they hung in that game with Deary, right? Like, it's not like they played well in that game. And yeah, just, somebody's got to lose. But like you said, it was a weird, looking at the boys too, there's going to be some teams left out of state that probably should have been there. But yeah, I'm sure that wasn't fun for Richfield to sit back and sit at home when they probably look and say, hey, we could have beaten 2/3 of the team here in the tournament. But, that's what it is, right? That's where, like I was just saying, I don't think I love the 8-team bracket that we've got right now, but maybe we add in a few more games on the Saturday before to help us figure out who really should be in that 8th.
Yep, for sure. Here's the all tournament team from the 1A D2 selected by IdahoSports.com. And by the way, we have been doing the all tournament teams for a long time, Logan, and we do all of them, 5A all the way through 1A D2, because we are at all of these games. We are properly qualified to name an all tournament team because we were at all of these tournaments and we go every classification. All 6 classifications deserve equal praise here amongst the landscape, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and it is what it is, right? These boys from 1A D2 aren't going to get as much love out there from other people, but we covered them just as much as we covered 5A because they deserve it. Brandon, there's been an argument, right? When Case Wynot broke that scoring record on social media, people from around the state, I'm sorry, we're dogging him. I'm sorry, who are you? Why are you doing that? Like, they're like, oh, he'd be an average player, and I saw the conversation change from people say, oh, he would be an average player in 5A, or, and then it's, well, they change the conversation. Like, the conversation changes when you bounce back to their rebuttals of Case Wynot, like, or, stop it. Why do we got to do that? Like, I don't know why we got to put them down. If you're doing that, if you're at a bigger school and you look down on the smaller schools, stop it. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. Because right now it seems like one of the best players like, we had this conversation, Brandon, right? Leighton Vander Esch. I don't see any starting 5A Idaho players playing linebacker in the NFL right now, but I do see one from Salmon River. So you're right. Taysom Hill is out there. He's from a 5A school, but I'm talking about the linebacker. I guess they don't hit hard in 1A D2 football. Anyways. Yeah, it is a lot of fun to cover everybody, right? I think you and I have both done I think I have officially done every single bracket in my time, like, broadcasted, right? I have broadcasted. Maybe I haven't done 5A, but a 4A, 3A, 2A. No, I've never done 2A. But 1A D1 and 1A D2, like, we cover everybody, and you're all important. And so we love covering every single inch of District 3 and the state.
I've done them all except 3A because somebody, Logan, oh yeah, I'll take 3A. I'll take 3A. No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I did take 3A. I did take 3A this year. Well, it was in Middleton, so it made my life easier.
Yeah.
But you know what? You got to sit in the soft chairs at 5A at the Idaho Center and be the elite. So
yeah. And that's a good word to use, elite. My last point on this, and then we'll continue on here. This is my perspective. I've never lived in Boise. I've never lived in the Treasure Valley. I obviously visit for work. There is this bubble that exists where it's 5A, 4A, and nothing else matters. And if you didn't do it at 5A, 4A, yeah, you're not worth our time. There's no coverage. 5A and 4A gets a lot of coverage on social media in the Treasure Valley. 3A, 2A, 1A doesn't really. And that's how it used to be in traditional media too, right? It was all about the big 5A SIC and the big matchups, and that's great. But you're talking about more than 50% of the teams in the Treasure Valley that are then being excluded in a sort of way. And it's just ironic to me because it's a community that's got Boise State there. And for the longest time, Boise State has been the team that's been in the shadows. Like, hey, look at us. We want to be at the big table. We deserve your attention. And they embrace that mantra with Boise State, but then they turn around and do the exact same thing to the smaller high schools in the area.
Yeah, it's just, there's just a lot going on here. I think there's a lot to compete with, and we love being able to be the opposite, right? And give you the coverage for everybody, right? Especially here, especially like the 8-man Prepcast, right? When we get into that, right? Just covering every inch and giving you, talking about those players that don't, whatever sort of media it is out there that's not, we hope that we can bring that. And if we're not, let us know. Like, if we're not covering anybody well enough, we want to fix that. But, that's our goal, is to cover everybody equitably, right? Is that a word? Equitably?
Yes.
But we want to make sure that everybody gets the same coverage. And, we appreciate all that the coaches do at those other small schools. It's not as easy, right? It's not as easy to do what you do at a small school, right? They are wearing 30 different hats, more so than just, sitting and doing their one thing. And so, and even the kids too, they're doing so much, jumping around from sport to sport to sport, and doing what they do in their community. It doesn't go unnoticed for sure.
Greg Frisbee, Kendrick assistant football coach and IdahoSports.com broadcaster. We picked him up for a couple of basketball broadcasts this year. High school kids should be celebrated for their accomplishments,
Yes,
no matter what level. Absolutely.
It just bothered me when people said that about Case, that his record didn't matter because it's 1A. Like,
the 5A, 4A snobbery has to stop for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's 2/6 of the entire state. So, all right, back on track here. 1A D2. No, you're good. 1A D2, all tournament teams. Riley Walters from Salmon River was our defensive MVP of the tournament, Logan. Rihanna Iverson of Council made the first team. On the second squad, we had Hope Zolman from Council. And then on the third team, Taylor Ewing from Salmon River. All conference selection as an 8th grader. And then she was a freshman this year. So that's a pretty cool deal for Taylor Ewing to make the all tournament team. Honorable mention.
Yeah, they're young, like we talked about. These teams are young, and Salmon River, that's a team to keep an eye on, right, in the future, right? If they're, you're bringing 8th graders to the state tournament, playing against seniors that have been there and done that. Obviously, maybe just not the year, right? You need to learn and grow, but man, they have got the athletes and the players that are going to be dangerous. That's the term I like to use, Brandon. They're going to be dangerous next year. Or they're going to be a problem. No, that's what I say. This team's going to be a problem. I think that Salmon River team is going to be a problem for the next few years. Just like Council has been, right? Council seems to have gone through this great stretch of players, and I think that's going to be Salmon River over the next few years.
For sure. All right, 4A tournament, Logan. Bishop Kelly, the 5 seed, they lost to Lakeland in a tight game, 48-45 in the opening round. Columbia was the 8th seed. They lost to Shelley 71-33. Then they met in a loser out game. Bishop Kelly and Columbia. BK squeaks out a 45-41 win. And so a 3-point loss, a 4-point win. And then they finally were able to exhale against Jerome in the consolation final. Bishop Kelly wins 58-40 to bring home a trophy. Columbia goes 2-out, but they were a play or two away from knocking out Bishop Kelly, which would have been pretty impressive. And so this tournament was kind of, I think, the way we thought it was going to go. Bishop Kelly and Lakeland. I know Ryan Luke on our preview show was talking all about Bishop Kelly, and I said they're good, but Lakeland is also very good, and that's going to be a better matchup than you think, Ryan. And it ended up being
that way. Yeah. The, BK, came out strong. That Lakeland. Here's the thing: like they beat Sandpoint, right? Who is very good up there, and I know that Sandpoint had some injuries late. But, they were still a team that they won the state championship last year, right? And Lakeland had to take them out, right? A best of 3 series to get it done. And did they sweep them in that? Or
they lost the first one, and then they won the next 2.
So they came into the tournament having to play 2 straight lose and you're out games, right? I feel like those teams, when they come into state, there is something different about them, right? They have had their backs against the wall and they're ready to go, right? Rather than just, kind of cruising through. There is obviously teams that just roll through and are very good and roll through to a state championship. But those teams that come in that had their backs up against the wall, they're ready to go. And that's what happened with Lakeland, right? Came in and took out the district champs here in District 3. And just great effort from them. And it's too bad that we had to see both of our teams lose and go into the consolation side, but good job to both sides, Columbia and Bishop Kelly, and BK getting it done on that back end though.
All tournament team for 4A as selected by the IdahoSports.com broadcasters. Nobody on the first team, but on the second team, Addie Leibel from Bishop Kelly and Ellie Robertson from Columbia. And then on the third, or the honorable mention squad, both Jordan Carnell and Brooke Hutchinson from Bishop Kelly made the cut there. And then we'll wrap up with 1A D1, Logan. It's kind of the same story, right? That whoever the 2 teams are from the Treasure Valley typically get seeded 7th and 8th. It was Liberty Charter 7, Rimrock 8. They both go 2-out. Liberty Charter could have had a chance to play on Saturday. They fell to Valley in the Friday loser-out game in a tight one, 45-40. But again, the storyline until somebody can break through at state is going to be, all right, District 3, can they get somebody over the hump in this thing?
Yeah, and it's tough. Like when we've seen the District 3 team win in this tournament, it's been against each other, right? If they happen to be the 7 and the 6, right? And they meet up in that loser out game.
Right.
But man, Liberty Charter may be taking a step in the right direction, though. It's at least encouraging because it is what it is. Some of these games have not been close for the District 3 teams. That's how it is. But in this game, Liberty Charter hung in there with Valley, right? And Valley only losing by 5. Valley went and they hung with Murtaugh in that consolation game. I was there for that one. They ended up falling to Murtaugh, but Valley plays in an extremely tough conference, and to hang around with them, I think that's a good sign, and that was good to see from Liberty Charter.
Yep. 1A D1 all tournament team here, Logan. We had on the honorable mention Chloe Borgen from Rimrock, as well as Jennabelle Reese from Liberty Charter. Logan, I remember 3 years ago with you doing the 1A D1 tournament. Jennabelle Reese was a freshman and a key player for Liberty Charter. Now she's a senior and wrapping up her career. So this is for me anyways, this is the first class that I've gone through covering at state. These girls were freshmen and now they're seniors.
It is weird to see them and say that was that long ago, that it has been time just kind of snapped by, right? That some of these players are now graduating and this is the last time we're going to see them, because we have, Brandon, right? We've seen them play as freshmen. And I think that's a unique perspective that we get to offer here at Idaho Sports. Is sometimes that's how it is. We've seen them play as freshmen and then we see them play their senior year right at state. At all different levels, at all classifications for multiple teams, right? And it's really fun to see them grow and become the players that they are and step up from being like the one I can think of was the power kid from Dietrich that graduated last year. And again, that was like, he was a senior last. Where did time go? But I saw him come into a state tournament game against Mackey as a freshman at the 1AD2 tournament. And that was a hostile gym that night between those two teams. And he came in and drilled some threes in that game and then helps Dietrich just continue to make it to state year in and year out and be the quarterback of the football team, right? And help lead them to a state championship appearance. It's just been very fun to see those players go through that throughout the years.
Yep. So that is the rundown on what happened at girls state basketball. We're going to talk state wrestling coming up this weekend at the Holt Arena in Pocatello. Let me double check that. It's been such a blur, Logan. I don't want to get the venue wrong. And then we're also going to look at.
I think that's where it is. Yes, I think it's at Holt.
Yeah, and then we are also going to run through the latest boys basketball district tournament action. But before that, if you're from Idaho and you're between the ages of 13 and 18, you can enter the No Vape video contest to expose the shadowy commercial tobacco marketing tactics behind vaping. All you have to do is create and upload a 90-second vape bashing masterpiece, and you could win a portion of more than $10,000 in prize money being awarded. Deadline to enter is April 1st. Winners will be announced May 1st. Raise your voice about the dangers of vaping and win big cash prizes from No Vape Idaho. I love this idea, Logan.
Yeah, you get to get involved, do your own thing, and you can win money because of it. It's not even that long. 90-second video, that's not a long thing. And me and Lance were talking about this on our broadcast. We have a great idea for you. You do something just completely random, and then the last 10 seconds, you're like, don't vape, it's terrible, something like that. You draw everybody in for a long time, like, where is this going? And we don't make commercials, so it's probably a terrible idea, but it was kind of, you get a chance to go out and bash something. Usually that's frowned upon, but this is something you want to take the chance to bash, right? And win money because of it. I think they did this last year too, that had pretty good participation. So go ahead and enter that contest and win some money, right, for the summer that's coming around the corner.
Yeah, it just reminds me of when I was a kid, the anti-drug commercials, and it was the girl in the kitchen and she starts smashing the pots and pans all over the place. Like, I would love to get a piñata or an old junker car and just take a sledgehammer and oh yeah, vaping gets you addicted, and then just smash it, and then and it's bad for your health. just,
just go and start smashing something and beating it up. That
Yeah.
sounds fun.
that's where I'm at with the marketing at it. So again, big thanks to Nova Idaho for what they're doing.
Yeah.
For our teens. Okay, Logan, state wrestling quickly. We covered a lot of this on the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast last night, and I know our wrestling diehards are plugged into that. But for those that may not be aware, state wrestling is coming up this weekend at I guess the ICCU Dome is what they call it now, formerly Holt Arena in Pocatello. Here's just kind of a quick primer on what to watch for from the Treasure Valley in terms of teams. All right. At the 5A level, Meridian is the favorite coming in. They are bringing the most competitors with 24, Logan. We kind of agreed that Nampa is probably the next best team in terms of placement chances, even though they only brought 14. They've got some really high-end wrestlers with Carson Exford and Siemens and some other guys. But Middleton bringing 19, Logan, and we found out on the show last night, 19 boys and 8 girls, 25 athletes total from Middleton going to state wrestling. Logan, that's a new school record.
Yeah, 2 of them you'll see there. There's some twins that are going to be there, the Fowler sisters. And I know them personally, so I wanted to give them a shout out. They also play on the rugby team. They are not 2 girls I would want to get in a fight with. I think they would 100% beat me up. But Middleton just showing out this year. A lot of good wrestling there. It seems like anytime I'm going to Middleton, I obviously live in Middleton, but I've had to go to the school for a few things here and there, and there's always somebody getting some wrestling practice in, no matter when it is. And it's manifesting themselves right now, right, as they've got 19 people headed to state.
Yep. And again, Meridian, we kind of all agreed, is kind of the favorite coming in, 24 athletes in total. Dark Horses, Eagle, Rocky Mountain. Mountain View's got a lot of good heavyweights and upper weight wrestlers, so they're teams to keep an eye on as well. 4A, Logan, really, it's going to come down to Minico and Bishop Kelly, and it's a contrast of styles. Minico is going to try and win with quantity, right? 20 wrestlers in total. Bishop Kelly is going to try to win with quality. They're only bringing 15, but man, they have got a lot of athletes that are going to challenge for first place finishes at the top of the podium. And if all of BK's studs hit the top of the podium, there's a chance that the Knights could steal this thing away from Minico. But it is the tougher road to travel, the quality over the quantity. Caldwell is also a team to keep an eye on. They're bringing 14 to state.
Yeah, it would be fun. We always talk about this whenever Caldwell gets there. I'm rooting for Caldwell, right? We just don't see them a lot, right? Outside of soccer, that's kind of where they shine. Would love to see them do well here at the state tournament. But like you said, Minico and BK they are what they are, right? And it's kind of what people are expecting to see this year at state wrestling.
Yep. 3A, Logan, Fruitland brings the most, 26, and Fruitland also brings the most combined wrestlers to state this year between boys and girls. I think it's 30 in total, so that's good for Fruitland. Buell is going to be the team that is pushing them the most. South Fremont is the defending champions, but Fruitland is kind of the title favorite coming in, and then Weiser may be a chance to threaten for a top 3 finish if a couple of things break their way, but this is Fruitland's got 26 guys, Logan. That is a lot of depth to work with at state.
That is, I mean, you've got so many guys and girls that you can just spread across, right, into different areas. Sometimes I'll admit I'm not the most in depth when it comes to wrestling and cross country and track, but it seems like if you can have enough people, right, scattered that finish in the top, 5 or 6, right, throughout, that's going to usually bode well for your team rather than having 1 or 2 that are going to excel and win it in their individuals, right? So when you see a team like Fruitland with 26, that's right off their bat, you've got 26 possibilities of placing well versus somebody, like Marsh Valley that right now only has 12.
Yep. It's going to be interesting for sure. 2A and 1A, of course, combine. Kellogg and Malad each tied for the most with 17. Malad at the start of the season was the team we were all like, okay, yeah, Malad is probably the favorite. Brian Zollinger on the Mat Chat Prepcast last night, he officially picked Malad at the start of the season. He changed his tune, and he actually likes New Plymouth here, Logan, bringing 15 guys, and New Plymouth has a lot of high seeds, right? They seed all the wrestlers in the bracket, and New Plymouth has got a lot of athletes at the top, taking the top seeds in each bracket. So New Plymouth is definitely in the mix for the 2A title from the Treasure Valley.
Yeah, and having 15 versus 17, not a huge difference. And if you've got guys that are going to finish up top, that's obviously a great thing. So it's interesting to hear switch the pick. Going with New Plymouth would be fun to see the Grims get it done here at State next week, or I guess this weekend.
Yes, for sure. And then Logan, the top 1A team always gets a banner to bring home to raise up in the gym as well. We really like Tri-Valley. Tri-Valley is bringing 10 wrestlers, the most of any 1A program. Of course, it's hard for a 1A team to beat the 2A teams for the state championship, but that would be a cool deal for Tri-Valley if they could be the top placing 1A team and get that banner to bring home. And then on the girls' side, Logan, this one is a free-for-all. It's all classifications. You've got 5As and 1As competing. Everybody's in the same pot. And so because of that, there aren't a ton of spots available at State, first of all. So you see right here that the two largest teams are Canyon Ridge and Thunder Ridge. They're each bringing 8. Coach Al Fontes, our Idaho wrestling expert, says, don't count out Eagle. Eagle is the only team that's won a girls wrestling championship in the short time that it's been a sanctioned sport. And he likes Eagle to repeat again, bringing 7 girls here to State.
Yeah, that'll be, I guess I jumped the gun here, Brandon, talking about girls from Middleton when you had your own girls thing over here waiting for me. So that shows you how in depth I am with it. But yeah, I mean, Eagle, it obviously matters, right? If you've won a championship before in anything, right? That you can come back out and do it. It's just super interesting, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, right? There's no classification, right? In girls. It's just
all class. Yep.
It's everybody's in. And so you've got right there on your dark horse side, you've got Rocky Mountain and Bonners Ferry, 2 schools you never hear ever in the same conversation. I don't know if I've ever had a conversation included those 2 in it in the same breath, right? So it'll be fun to see some of these teams that don't traditionally match up with each other get a chance. And now I'll give my shout out to the Fowler twins, right, in the girls' side for Middleton. 2 of those 5 that'll be headed there.
Yep. Twin sisters competing there for Middleton. So that's what's going on with State Wrestling, Logan. That's this weekend. Al Fontes is going to be writing an exhaustive state preview. It's going to go up on the site sometime late Wednesday, early Thursday, and then he'll have a recap of everything that happened at State Wrestling sometime next week as well. All right, let's wrap up with boys basketball district brackets, Logan. Let's talk about teams that have officially clinched spots at State. Let's start with the 2A District 3 tournament where, we all saw this. Number 2 Ambrose, number 5 Nampa Christian for the district championship tonight, Wednesday night at Valley View High School. Yeah, and this is very similar to how girls basketball starts, right? It's overshadowed by the boys, football state is going on, right? And then boys district kind of gets hidden underneath the girls state tournament. And this is one thing, that was a big story last week that might not have gotten talked about as much as it should, but an upset, right? Nampa Christian takes down Cole Valley and it wasn't a barn burner either. They kind of convincingly won that game and punched their ticket to state. And Brandon, you said it, didn't you, last week, that you thought that if somebody slipped up, it could be Cole Valley. And now all of a sudden they're in a lose or go home game against Melba. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, tonight.
Yes, tonight. So that game is tonight, Melba and Cole Valley. And the loser is done. And that's not, I think, what we were expecting to see at this point of this bracket. And then you still have to win a play-in game to get into state. Now that, you might say that might be an easier draw than the game you have tonight. But no matter what, you still have to play 2 more games to get to the state tournament.
Yeah, I can tell you that right now, Logan. Whoever wins here between Melba and Cole Valley, they're probably going to play Orofino in the state play-in game, and I think they'll have a more difficult matchup here in this district tournament. These semifinals were broadcast on IdahoSports.com last Wednesday. Number 2 Ambrose beat number 3 Melba 62-40 and did take down Cole Valley Christian 51-40. Donovan Wiles has really elevated his play for Nampa Christian once the district tournament has started. He was the IdahoSports.com player of the game for the Trojans. And I just said with Cole Valley, they went 14-0 in league play this year, and they were only 1 loss in the entire regular season. And I just said, boy, the longer you go without losing, the tighter you get. And it's just natural to feel that tightness when somebody comes out and challenges you and pushes you, and they'd won so many games really close by the skin of their teeth. And I just thought, man, it would have been nice for them to get a loss somewhere in the regular season, just so they can, hey, it's all good. We lost. It's not the end of the world, because now you lose and it is the end of the world.
Yes, literally it is. It's the end of your season. If you're a senior, it's the end of your career, right? It is. And you know what? Maybe that's a good, a hiccup to have, right? On the road. It's just crazy, right? Coal Valley and Melba were in the top 5 basically all year long, right? And one of them's not going, right? We always hear it from the Pocatello and Preston side, right? That somebody's not going, but another good team is not going to go to state right here between Melba and Coal Valley.
And meanwhile, New Plymouth, the 4 seed, another team that was in the top 5 all year in the polls. They went 1-2. They went out. They lost to Nampa Christian in the opening round, and then they lost to Melba by 10 in the loser out game. So they finished their season up earlier than they wanted to as well. But congratulations to Ambrose and Nampa Christian. No matter what happens in this district championship game tonight, they are both moving on to state. The winner of Melba and Coal Valley Christian over here will have a chance to advance to state via the play-in game, which is right down here. Okay, let's go 3A next. Logan, Snake River Valley Conference, the district championship game Thursday night in McCall. It's number 1 McCall Donnelly, number 2 Homedale. Kind of like the 2As, Logan. No matter what happens in this district championship, the Vandals and Trojans both advancing to state.
Yeah, and you know what? It'll look on pay. I'm curious to see where the seedings will be for the 3A SRV when it comes to state. Homedale is the 2, but I'm not sure where they might be a little bit lower of a seed when it comes to the state tournament brackets coming out. And McCall Donnelly, they could be dangerous at the state tournament. But I tell you, whoever it is, they're going to have to be ready for Snake River and Teton from Eastern Idaho. I think we could have a rematch, potentially state championship between those two, like it was for girls, because those two are rolling right now. But the 1 and 2 made it, right? That's the way the bracket is designed, to encourage that, to reward you for your regular season. I love this style of bracket, right? Where if you're the 1 or the 2, you win one game and you're in, right? And that's all it takes. There's not a huge opportunity for a hiccup along the way because of that. So Homedale and McCall Donnelly get their tickets punched.
Yep. And then on the backside, Logan, 3 versus 4 tomorrow night in Weiser. Weiser, the 3 seed, Fruitland, the 4 seed on the back end here. Each side won loser out games last night over Parma and Payette. Winner of this game will advance to a play-in game against either Kimberly or Filer. Kimberly would have to beat Filer twice to win the District 4 championship. So it's probably going to be Kimberly in this play-in game. That'll be a tough matchup for whoever, advances, whether it's Weiser or whether it's Fruitland. Okay. You were asking about the Max Prep seedings, Logan, for 3A.
Yeah.
You want me to dive into that for a quick second?
Yeah. Do you have it there, Brandon? I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. So here's what I can tell you. And it's really interesting. On Twitter, we have a really dedicated follower, Paula, and she is kind of our 3A SRV expert. She really follows all the teams in 3A basketball as a whole. And she has been mentioning this for some time on social media. Nobody has done anything about it, Logan, but when you look at the 3A rankings on Max Preps, McCall Donnelly's not there. They aren't there. They're my gosh. They're not in there. So that's a big problem. And you would think somebody in charge would have said
somebody going to catch that or what?
I don't know. Now and I will admit, she has, tagged us in a couple of things like, hey, when is McCall Donnelly going to be in this? And, I'll admit I've just had too much on my plate to really dive into it too deeply to investigate. I think what happened is something with Max Preps where the McCall Donnelly that's being registered for the 3A rankings it's like this McCall Donnelly Meadows Valley co-op that was mistakenly created, and the real McCall Donnelly post has not been added to the 3A rankings. And you have to have a minimum of 5 games to make the Max Preps rankings. And so that McCall Donnelly Meadows Valley co-op hasn't played 5 games. And so I don't know. It's probably something Max Preps needs to fix, but Max Preps isn't going to do anything unless somebody from Idaho tells them, hey, this needs to be fixed. And I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It will have to, you would think, right?
It'll happen like Saturday night. Everybody will be scrambling, trying to figure it out. Like that's probably when it'll happen.
So yeah,
we said it right now. It's out there. So somebody fix it now. we're on record with that. Because yeah, it's gonna be frustrating, right? If it's Saturday night and people try to put their brackets together and then Sunday morning, like if it comes to that point where they're not there on Saturday night and they try to that's going to cause a world of headaches, right? For everybody, because they're going to have to fix that and get it done. And then, potentially be delayed on releasing that bracket. That's an interesting one to keep your eye on. Hopefully they're aware of that and get it done.
Here's what I would say, Logan. If they were aware of that, they would have already fixed it. So here's the tweet. Here's the tweet from Paula. I'll share it on my screen over here. Paula Snyder. She's a great supporter of 3A SRV athletics. Here it is. Can we please get the McCall Donnelly Max Preps corrected? They are not included in the 3A SRV conference, nor the Class 3A standings. Where did this school come from? Here it is. McCall Donnelly / Meadows Valley. They haven't actually played any games. And so here they are in the official quote unquote league standings at 0-0 still. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. I don't if that actually.
Yeah.
Guess what? We'll have to keep an eye on it and see, because that would be hard. Like, right? People are already starting to plan who they're playing. You can't tell me Snake River and Teton aren't already looking ahead to say, who am I going to play? And you don't know, like, where is McCall? We don't even have an idea, right, of where they will be.
Logan,
right? There is no, we don't know.
Think about
Based
this.
on that, we have no clue.
McCall Donnelly has lost once this year. Adding them in not only changes their ranking, it is going to affect everything for Class 3A. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about all the teams that they play.
What if they land at 1? Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, if you're Snake River or Teton, I'm not 1 anymore. Like that makes a big difference. And like people might be planning already. And that's not it should be. They have 1 more game left, right? Against Homedale, right? It should be basically done. Should be, right? It should be essentially all wrapped up, maybe a tweak or a plus or minus here, but now we don't know. Would they come in at 7? Would they come in at 4? I don't know.
Right now, Homedale is ranked 11th in the Max Preps rankings, but that's without any of the data of them playing a tougher schedule against McCall Donnelly 3 times. So that's what I'm saying is it will change the way the Max Preps rankings works. 1 game changes, it's a butterfly effect, and it changes everything. So
yeah, because right now Snake River is 1, Bonners Ferry is 2, and then Fiedler 3, Marsh Valley 4, Teton 5, Kimberly 6, Buell is 7, but Buell's not going, so there's 1 right off the bat, right? American Falls, I think American Falls has already been knocked out. Is that right?
Correct.
So, some teams are going to bump up here, but where is?
And I've got news for you. McCall Donnelly played a lot of 2A schools this year. Ambrose, Coal Valley Christian are our 2A teams getting shortchanged, right?
Yeah, probably.
This is a big problem.
Yeah. It is right. It's gonna get fixed, and people are gonna play who they're gonna play. Right. At the end of the day, is it a massive? It doesn't matter, right? You would play that team anyway, but you're trying to look ahead. And I think most, like you said, it could have big ripple effects. It's not going to affect who gets there, right? And at the end of the day, you get there, you just win the games in front of you. I think that's what any coach would at least tell you to your face, right? That we're just going to play who's in front of us. That's what we do, right? They're not going to complain about what's there, but man, it does make it a little tricky and difficult because you don't know where they're going to land in this.
You can't peg anything on this bracket. And the 2A
Yeah.
could be it is a mess, Logan. And so
Yeah.
this is kind of probably the first time people are hearing about this. Paula's been on it from the start, and good for her.
Yeah.
But here we are, Logan, just less than a week away from state. We'll see what happens. It's anyways, congrats to McCall Donnelly and Homedale for both clinching spots at state. Okay, 5A. Logan, this tournament's been wild. Owyhee and Timberline are going to play for the district championship Friday night at ICCU Arena. They'll be first. The 4A championship will be second. And then on the back end last night, Logan, we had some consolation games where Middleton, the number 8 seed, beats Eagle, the 4 seed, 55-50. So Middleton, as the 8 seed, is going to state, and Capital, the 6 seed, is going to state. They beat Centennial in a tight one last night, 57-55. So now you've got number 4 Eagle, number 5 Centennial having to earn their way in via state play-in games. Meanwhile, Meridian, the 2 seed, went 2 in barbecue. They lost to Middleton, 58-49. They lost to Capital on Saturday, 72-69. This has been a wild bracket.
Yeah, it went just as everybody was expecting, right? The 1, the 3, the 6, and the 8 get the auto bids. That's just what everyone had. I'm just kidding. I mean, I think I really like Timberline, Brandon. I think they've looked very good this year. Middleton, man, they're a Jekyll and Hyde team because I mean they played Timberline and got beat pretty handily, right? And sometimes they can. I mean, when we did their game against Owyhee, they played Owyhee tough. Like, took their punches well. They punched back. Owyhee could not pull away. They frustrated them defensively. Like they hung around in that game for a long time. They were never right there, but it sat between 5 to 9 most of the game. Right? They were within striking distance, and so sometimes they get beat by Timberline by 20 points, and then sometimes they go and win at Eagle to punch a ticket to state. So I never can gauge what you're going to get from the team. They remind me, I told you before this, that Centennial team, right, that went to the state championship a couple years ago that pulled off a first round upset, right, against Lake City, I think, in the first round. They kind of remind me of that. Like, probably a lot of people aren't going to talk about them, but you know what? They can hang with people when it comes to it. And Capital, they're another team. I saw them at the Capital Classic. They ended up losing to Baker, but I don't think Baker's lost a game all year. In Oregon, that team is on another level, and the people. There's another one, Brandon. I said that, and I said they could compete in the 5A SIC, and I saw somebody say, "No way!" They're like, "Oh no, they beat crappy teams when they were here." They beat a team that's going to state, so I'm gonna say that yes, they could compete in the 5A SIC. So don't give me that, right? I know they're a small school, but look out. They're actually good. Capital is a good team. They've got players, Brandon. They're a dangerous team, I think, at state. I think Capital is another team that could sneakily win a game or two and make a run that nobody's expecting them to make.
They're tough. They defend. They make life uncomfortable for you. That's for sure. Playing games. Eagles going to play Highland Saturday in Burley. Centennial is going to play either Post Falls or Lake City Saturday at Grangeville. I personally think that's going to be Post Falls, but we will have to wait and see. And that's what's going on there. Logan, before we get to our last 3 brackets here, Matthew Arnold from McCall, talking about that Max Preps thing. He says, I've been wondering this all year. And he says, I say use Idaho Sports Power Rankings. Hey, I appreciate the plug, Matthew. The right answer, I think the right approach is have a human watching over this. Have somebody in charge of this, not just the computer, not just a company that's based in California that's miles away. And it's a rankings, because the Idaho sports rankings aren't perfect either, just like the Max Preps. It's a combination of rankings and humans. And now we're missing that human part of it. So
because I think you've said it right. You do, or when we see the wrestling tournament, it's not a computer, right? It's people. So I don't know why we could beat this dead horse all day. We've done it so many times, right? maybe we should have some humans in there. Weird, right? Humans play the game. Maybe let them help decide, again, can take a step back and say, yeah, this is what this means.
Yeah.
I think it could happen. I think it could happen
for sure. Melissa says yes, yes, yes. Humans, please. Yeah, I think it's a combination of the both, for sure. All right, let's go 4A here, Logan. Bishop Kelly and Ridgeview, top 2 seeds playing for the district championship Friday night, 8 p.m. ICCU Arena. On the back end, loser out games tonight. Number 6 Emmett against number 5 Columbia, number 3 Valley View, and number 4 Skyview. You're going to why are 3 and 4 having to play each other? Well, because 4 lost to 5. Skyview lost to Columbia last Saturday, 71-61. Put them on this side of the bracket. I think these are the 2 teams, right? The winner of this will advance to state. The loser will play the third place game for that second bid to state. But to me, it's clearly Bishop Kelly. It's clearly Ridgeview.
Yeah, and in the last couple of times, I think Bishop Kelly has just grown into themselves over the last few months, because they played Ridgeview last week and won pretty handily over the Warhawks. And I personally thought that Ridgeview was going to be the team, the number 1 team here in the SIC this year, but it's been Bishop Kelly. And these 2 will play in that championship game, right, at the ICCU Arena downtown on Friday. But I think whoever loses finds a way in, and I'll admit it, I'm rooting for Ridgeview, right? Not necessarily to beat Bishop Kelly, but just to make it to state. Would love to see them make it, since they've never been. That's the only reason. I don't hate your team. I don't want to not see your team there. Just, it would be fun to see Ridgeview make it to state for the first time.
Yep. It would be a fun storyline for sure. And you're right. Bishop Kelly is peaking at the right time. All right. Yeah. 1A D1 District 3. Our championship is 1 versus 2, Liberty Charter and Victory Charter. They'll play Thursday night at Coal Valley Christian High School. Liberty Charter won the matchup in the regular season. It was by single digits. I like Victory Charter as a team a little more than Liberty Charter. They played that game way back in December. It was so long ago. Victory Charter's got the most dynamic scorer in the conference in Noah Palomares. Winner of this game will automatically advance to state. And, oh, you know what, Logan? So will the loser. So I guess we can add these 2 teams to the list. Liberty Charter and Victory Charter both clinched to state. Whoever takes third between Riverstone and Rimrock will advance to a state play-in game. So this is a league that gets 2.5 bids. They did not for the girls. That's what threw me off on this. Big storyline.
I was trying to look at it and say, all right, are we going to have that, what did you call it? The
challenge game.
Challenge game, yeah. But I was trying to see if they had beaten those teams already, if they get there. But it doesn't matter, because whoever wins this just gets to go to a play-in game. So they'll have a chance. And which one? They're playing the first place team from District 1?
Yep, that's going to be Clark Fork, the Wampus Cats. Fork. So it'll be an interesting – or no, sorry. Lakeside, defending state champs.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, good luck.
I'll be honest. I don't think it really matters. I do like Riverstone to go. I just don't think it matters.
Lakeside is they won the championship last year. That's a tough team to see in a play-in game, right? A Lakeside. They are a top 2-3 team in the state, not just trying to get their way there. They're very good.
That's where a human would come in and say, our defending state champs are in a play-in. Maybe we should tweak that a little bit.
Don't say that, Brandon. Don't say that.
You're right. Shout out to Rimrock, the 6th seed, to make it to the Final Four here. They beat number 5 Vision Charter last night pretty handily, 60-45. Yeah. So nice job for the Raiders. Okay, and then finally, Long Pin Conference here, Logan. Championship is Friday at McCall Donnelly High School. Number 1 Cascade, number 2 Garden Valley. They split in the regular season. The 1 seed came down to the coin flip. Cascade, or a straw draw. Cascade drew the long straw, so they got the long pin, number 1 seed. I'm more intrigued on what's going to happen on this backside. Horseshoe Bend and Tri-Valley play in a loser-out game tonight. Salmon River and Council do the same. Whoever doesn't win between Cascade and Garden Valley will have to challenge or play, the third place game to get to state. I really like Horseshoe Bend as that team that's going to be in the top 3. And can they steal a game from Garden Valley or Cascade is the question.
Yeah, it'll be tough because those two teams have just been the clear cut 1 and 2 all year long. I mean, Horseshoe Bend did play Garden Valley pretty well there in that game, but man, Cascade, Garden Valley, it seems like Cascade has been to state so many times over the last few years, whether it's in a position where they're like this, right, where they're expected to be there, or where they come out of nowhere and find their way at state. They just this is their time. They just always seem to get it done right now.
Last year, Cascade was the 4-seeded districts. They won the district title. So Coach Hurley's got to know.
It's like a couple years ago, they also were nowhere to be seen, and then they make a run at it. And then they came into the state tournament a couple years ago and make a run all the way to the state championship. They fell to Lakeside in that game, but they just are a team that knows how to get it done at the end of February.
For sure. So good luck to all the teams that are still fighting to get to state. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Logan, we went long again today because we had to go down the Max Preps rabbit hole. We got off topic a little bit. That's
every time.
Max Preps is such a time suck in my life. It just sucks the time away.
But I mean, it really will be interesting to see what happens with McCall here. Like, it really will. Like,
yeah.
Just like when's it going to get caught? What's the ripple effect going to be? It'll be really interesting to keep tabs on that.
Yeah, and there's part of me that goes, maybe we shouldn't have said anything, and let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, all I care about is what's best for these kids. And so yes, we need to get it out there because this is a serious problem.
And that is what we have said many times. Like, is this a decision for the athletes, or is this a decision for adults? Because there's a lot of decisions that sometimes seem like they're for adults and they're not for kids, who it's actually supposed to be for. So that's ultimately who this will hurt. If it takes the longer it takes, it's just, it doesn't give them enough time to plan and do what they need to do and learn. Again, like I said, they're just going to play who's in front of them, and they're going to go at it, and they're going to be just fine, right, at the end of the day. But it needs to get fixed quickly.
Yep. We'll see, because teams are already clinching and trying to figure out and plan
yes, exactly.
I mean, we've got half the field set with Homedale and McCall and Snake River and Teton, and the other half is going to be filled, over the next couple of days. So yeah, this is a problem. They've got to get ironed out for sure. But next week, Logan, in place of the regular Treasure Valley Prepcast, we'll have a couple of different Prepcasts. We will have a special Matt Chat Prepcast where we recap everything that happened at state wrestling. And of course, we'll also have our IdahoSports.com boys basketball state tournament preview special. That'll be next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Pacific. That's what we did for the girls. So we'll keep the time the same for the boys. Should be fun.
Yeah. Should be great. Look forward to covering everybody. I'll be on the 3A preview again. So it should be fun.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks to everybody that hung for the whole hour plus. We appreciate it. These will get shorter. We're just in that 3-week sprint where
there's so much happening.
Yeah, we got to get it all in. So for Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in to the Treasure Valley Prepcast, presented by No Vape. Be smart, don't start. We'll see you next week on IdahoSports.com.